Erica Rodriguez is an incredibly gifted speaker who has traveled the world to help those who are marginalized and in need. Shaped through her own trials and circumstances, her mission is to empower others to find beauty and purpose in their brokenness. She currently works with her husband in their organization, Rescue a Generation, which serves youth and urban communities. Erica has been a member of the Hour of Power team for the past few years and is currently our live stream host. Please welcome Erica Rodriguez.
Erica, hi. Thank you so much for joining us. Sorry for the social distancing, but hopefully it's good.
Yeah, it's an honor to be here, honestly.
Well, we've really appreciated you being a part of our team, and so many people on the live stream have, had you pray for them or comment to them on Facebook, and you and your husband Jose have just this amazing ministry, and I want people to hear about your heart and what the Lord is doing in your ministry. So welcome. We're so glad to have you, to actually interview you.
Yeah.
So tell everybody a little bit about how you came to faith, because you didn't really grow up with a close relationship with God.
Yeah, so it's an interesting story. In the 90s, when drugs just kind of stepped into the scene, my father, he actually sold drugs to an undercover cop and ended up getting sentenced to prison for about a year. And it was in there where he had this just radical encounter with God. And so when he got out, he and my mother, they were married. And so because of his faith, she said yes to Jesus. And so we went on this journey of kind of going to church. But then when I was the age of 9, my parents got divorced. And from there, we kind of just left God. And I didn't really want much to do with the church. It was probably 3 years later where we found a local church that we got into and we really loved it. But my mom, she was one of the moms, she was like, well, I don't want to force this religion on you, so I'm going to give you guys a choice. So she gave us a choice. And for me, I had saw a lot in the church as a child. And so it kind of put this distaste in my mouth. And so I was like, okay, well, I don't want church. So I went on this journey of really discovering me. I went on this journey trying to figure out what my purpose was on the earth. And so I went through this season of drugs and alcohol, partying. And then the best way I could describe this moment, one night I was in my bedroom. It was late at night and I had this Joseph-like moment where I wrestled with God. And as a child, people would call me Mookie. And it was this name that I had become. And I remember...
What's Mookie mean?
Mookie, it was just a nickname that they gave me.
Yeah.
I started going to Compton High School and I wanted to be cool. I wanted to fit in. So we're going to call, my parents called me Mook Mook growing up. It's a weird name. And so they were like, well, we're going to call you Mookie. And so I took this name, got it tattooed on me, and it just became part of my identity. And I remember late at night when I was in my bedroom, I just wrestled with God. I said, God, I'm not going to get up from this place until you bless me. And I remember for the first time ever, I heard God's voice. And I remember he said, I knew it wasn't my language because I didn't have church language. He said, get ready. You're getting ready to give birth to a new you. And literally from that moment, I had this encounter. I didn't say the prayer in church. I made a decision that night in my bedroom that I'm going to follow this God I heard about, that I've read about, that I've heard my grandparents talk about. And I just went on this journey of really following after God. And literally the rest is history. I got plugged into a local church, went to Bible college, and now God is just blowing my mind just with his faithfulness.
That is so awesome. I love the words, Lord, I'm not going to let you go until you bless me. It reminds me of Jacob. It's the same words that he says when he's wrestling. And isn't it interesting? I love how you didn't, praying a prayer is a great way to, have an event to become a Christian. But for a lot of people, it was, for me too, I didn't pray a prayer. I responded to an altar call, but I didn't go down. I just made a decision in my head. I was like, I'm done riding the fence. I'm going to follow after God. Absolutely. And that sounds like what happened to you. It was like something clicked.
Absolutely. I think sometimes we underestimate the power of a made-up mind. You even look in the Bible, even with Daniel, he didn't want to defile his body before the living God, so he purposed in his heart not to defile God. And so it was one of those moments where, I'm going to make this decision. It doesn't have to be this extravagant thing, but I'm going to make up in my mind that no matter what, I'm going to follow after this.
Your husband, Jose, has a similar kind of troubled upbringing too. I met him downstairs and grew up in North Tulsa. For people who don't know, it's a very dangerous part of Tulsa. Was in a gang and also had a radical coming to faith, went to my alma mater, ORU, and now you guys how did you guys meet? And you started this ministry together, and really you're doing some great stuff.
Okay, so we have a millennial story. Long story short, I went on a missions trip in 2017. the guy that I was dating at that time passed away. And of course, I was working here at Hour of Power, and I was in the donor development department. And so Jose kind of reached out to me. He was one of the people that donated to the mission trip, so we kind of knew of each other, but it was casual. And he reached out and he's like, hey, I'd love to know just how you guys do it. How do you build relationships with your donors? And so from there, we kind of built this casual friendship. And it wasn't until months later, maybe almost a year later, where we just started dating. So we met literally off Facebook.
That's awesome.
Thank God for Facebook.
That's awesome. That is so great. And now you guys have a big part of your mission and ministry is really to reach the marginalized, right? To reach people who feel left out. Maybe sometimes you guys felt kind of left out, or maybe didn't feel like you belonged, or you didn't want to be in a stuffy, super religious, legalistic environment. Like, you seem like you really got a hold of the Spirit.
Yeah.
And you want to bring that to people. How does that work in your ministry? That's what you guys are doing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think most of our story has to do with feeling overlooked, rejected, and abandoned. And I know for my husband, but I can speak for myself, is, I purposed in my heart years ago that I will spend the rest of my life speaking and reaching the broken, the marginalized, and those who people often overlook or outcast. And so when we came together and when God brought us together, it was a no-brainer. He had already founded the organization 3 years ago. And so when we came together, it just made all the sense. His purpose merged with my purpose. We often say our destinies aligned. And so we've watched God literally breathe on everything that we do, because we knew from from kids that we were called to reach these students. And so we've watched God literally transform the hearts of so many.
I love watching couples do ministry together, by the way. Hannah and I do ministry together, and a lot of the couples I've seen that are really happy, God doesn't call every couple to do ministry together, but when he does, it's really a fun thing to be a part of. And do you just feel that way? You feel like God uses your strengths and weaknesses to help each other and draws you closer as you do ministry together?
Yeah, it's funny because I feel like a lot of married couples in the beginning, the argument is we're so different. But funny thing is, Jose and I, when we first started dating, we laugh about that. We're different. We've embraced our differences in such a way that we know that we don't need another Erica, and we definitely don't need another Jose. And so it's cool to see how, because Jose's very ambitious. He's very driven. And I, on the other hand, can be very timid. And so God uses both of those. So in moments where he wants to step out before faith or before God, that's when I come in. Or when there's moments where I allow fear to grip me, he said, no, I believe that this is what God is. So we watch God literally use our personalities, our DNA, and our wiring to do the work of the ministry.
That's awesome. Well, Erica Rodriguez, thank you so much for being with us today. And I hope people, especially online, get to a better feel for what you do. And we are praying for you and Jose. We're just believing what you're doing and can't wait to see God continue to just manifest incredible things in the things you're doing, and we're just so glad to be partnered with you, and we love you guys.
We love you guys too, of course.
All right, God bless you. Thanks, Erica.